Okay, 6:45 Friday. How's everybody this morning? March 1st, last month of quarter one. Can you believe it? I'm cranking. Hopefully spring will show itself next couple of weeks. Maintain confidentiality of insider information, learn about our clients, about ECI in about our clients. So it's a good code item to not really stir up that rumor mill or get a lot of falsified information out there. There could be repercussions from clients and other situations. So it's very important that we maintain that confidentiality that we sign. I believe Ken signs with clients potentially. Some of the works that we do are sometimes very sensitive. So good code item. So safety news, 56 days without a recordable. We've had some close encounters. But we've done well, so let's continue that trend, that equation of eliminating the unsafe acts, unsafe conditions, identifying our hazards, and putting proper controls in place. We can continue with that mindset, with that thought process. We can keep cranking through the days. So it starts with today. As soon as we leave the safety meeting today, let's come together on the job site, figure out what our hazards are, let's control them, and let's not take unnecessary risks and correct those unsafe conditions. We did have 2 backing incidents this week, both leading to property damage. Again, backing is one of our most frequent incidents here at ECI, so let's get out and look. Let's not let those blind spots or those backing incidents continue. We need to really look out for each other and proper setup. Where you're parking. A lot of the times, this is us getting in our truck and just putting it in reverse, and then we're backing into things. A lot of that stuff happens. So backing into parking spaces, doing a little 180 around the vehicle before you leave. So property damage is it's going to cost something. So this week I wanted to kind of quickly talk about a shared tool that we use a lot in and around. We haven't really done any formal training on. We've actually over the last couple of years we've had some close encounters with our pipe steamer. So I just wanted to kind of go over some safe work practice, raise the awareness on it, and some do's and don'ts when we have to grab a pipe steamer to do like some emergency work or to do some quick little job. A lot of times there's not a thought that goes in this because it's kind of basic, but we've added some safety features to it. To hopefully some admin controls really to eliminate any of those close encounters of potential. It's a burn hazard. People are undoing the cap when this thing is still really hot and steam is pouring out of the vent. So biggest thing with a safe work practice we want to inspect. A lot of the things is just making sure the hoses are thawed out. One of the reasons why people are popping open caps is because there's ice buildup in the hose. So then we have steam that comes out of the port here. And so when people think there might be something wrong, they open up this cap and this pressure steam's popping right through to their face. So we want to make sure we're inspecting the hose. The hoses are thawed, clean, and we want to make sure nothing is damaged. So always do a good visual inspection, check the wells, the crack, making sure that there's nothing wrong with the unit itself. Good little thing for setup. This is kind of hot work. We have a Tiger torch that we're throwing in here to warm up this bad boy. Yeah, it's right here. So we always want to keep that propane and everything about 5 feet away from any combustible materials. If you have any gas or additional propane, anything that might be combustible material, remember that good proper setup. And then operation. So if the steam escapes the bypass spigot, which is this little doohickey right here, we might need to reheat the hose because you might have frozen ice chunks in the hose, and that's creating a problem. 99% of the times we've had close encounters is because something's plugged either at the port here or in the hose here. So that's one of the biggest things that we need to make sure we identify, because the proper setups, this thing will heat up, steam will hopefully come out of the hose, and then you're starting to thaw out your pipe.
You want to be careful taking that quick connect out too.
Yeah, exactly. You got some heat, and we're going to kind of go over some of that here in a second. So keep the cat tight and do not open if it's hot. The proper procedure is this thing needs to cool down a little bit before you refill it. and we'll talk about exactly how much steam per gallon that this thing can produce. So do not leave the equipment running when unattended. Ensure that the unit is drained after each use and allowed to cool down before storing. You want to make sure this thing is cooled right down. And then a full tank of water will make about approximately 15 minutes of steam, and then you need to cool down before you refill a little bit. So it is a time-consuming thing. A lot of times I think we get this, it's rush, it's go, and we kind of push our time limits. We're in a rush. We don't think it's working properly. This is a thing that it takes time to de-ice things. So it really just need to take our time and let the steam do its thing and let this thing cool down before we refill it, because when we open this cap, when this thing is super hot and there's steam in it, it's a very dangerous situation. People can get badly burnt from this unit. Any questions? Okay. We have a quick thing. Brendan Stringer was going to talk a little thing on Hilti here, and then we'll pass it over to Ken.
We just have one of those.
The only one that I know. And we've added some admin controls, and we're also going to add, please keep, do not remove the cap while hot. It does kind of say it on the cap here.
Down or
yeah.
It's like a radiator cap.
Exactly. It's like a radiator cap. And we're going to add some admin controls here just for a refresher for everybody in the field that's using it. You can kind of see it on the cap, but it's very faded now. So we're going to add an admin control right here on the device itself. Okay. So I'll pass over to Brendan.
Morning, guys. So most of you guys are probably familiar with the new sort of tool that we're using in the tool crib to manage the inventory. And so it's called Hilti OnTrack. And so it's a new inventory tracking tool. So the purpose of this, go on my next slide here. The purpose of this is just primarily to track our small assets. So if you think about how we have our GPS in all of our excavators, we have GPS in the loaders, we have GPS in so many other of our big assets, this was to fill the gap and start tracking things like generators and pumps and some of the smaller stuff. So it's a mobile app that's accessible from your phone if you have Apple or Android. It's also available on the tablets. And then there's a more detailed kind of admin console that's available on the computer if you want to look at it there. And so really for you guys, it's to help you find tools and equipment when you need them. If you need a generator, if you need a pump, you don't know where one is, you can look it up. It's to provide more transparency for what's going in and out of the tool crib. And ideally, it would allow us to bill, a Hilti bit you take out of the tool crib or whatever to a job. So it's just kind of completing that chain of custody and using the tool crib more as like a storefront where it's vending you things. And then kind of a little bonus that this software provides, it allows Alberta a much easier way of managing all of our certificates for all the training that you guys go through. So, how does it work? Well, as I said, it's a mobile app available on pretty much any device. And so basically what it is we put these little tags. These are the fancy Bluetooth tags, and then we just have regular, sort of sticker tags with a barcode on them. And so the idea is that there's an app on your phone, and it's constantly talking to, these little Bluetooth tags. And then based on that, we know the location of any device that has a Bluetooth tag. So for example, if a generator was downstairs and my phone has the Hilti app on it, so my phone's going to say, oh, that generator's, nearby this location. So now we know where it is. And it also works because each employee has a location associated with them. So I could go to the tool crib and say, oh, this generator is now in my custody. And so now if you looked it up, you could easily tell that I was the owner or the current owner of that generator. And if you needed to borrow it, you could just give me a call and figure it out. So I just want to go over a couple things here is the language of the Hilti app, because it's something that Elliot and I are going to be talking to you guys about as we start to continue rolling this out. And so the first is an asset. And an asset is anything that's tracked, basically. So that would be like your generators, your pumps, some of the hoses, test balls. I mean, if you go downstairs in the tool crib, you'll see stuff with tags on it. Anything that has a tag on it is considered an asset. And then we have a consumable. And a consumable is basically anything that's within the crib itself, like the area directly below us, anything that you go into the tool crib and you use to sign out on that sheet of paper on the countertop, that's a consumable.
Safety glasses, hard hats,
Exactly.
hammers.
We don't expect them to come back.
Exactly.
Things like that.
So then we talk about transferring an asset or transferring a consumable. And so that transfer word is the way that you're taking ownership of that. So if you were in the tool crib and you needed a couple pairs of safety glasses or a couple pair of gloves, you would transfer a couple pair of gloves to yourself. And just like if I wanted to go down and grab a pump, I would transfer that pump to myself, either from my phone or from the tablet that's available in the tool crib. And so then the last thing is we need to understand what the various locations are so we can transfer things to a location. I'm a location because I could have something in my possession. Your job trailer is a location because your job trailer is fully stocked with various tools and equipment. And then there's also warehouses that are locations, like the tool crib or the concrete bay or the survey shop. So these are all places that can own pieces of equipment. And similarly, if we had a very long-term job like the Middlebury Tunnel job, which lasted all of last summer, we could consider that its own location, and then that job could have ownership of various tools. So that's kind of a brief overview of, how it works and how we're picturing it working at ECI. The only other thing I want to show you is if you go into the tool crib, you'll see a screen that looks like this on that tablet. And so I just want to introduce all the different things we could do. So Elliot could add an item to our existing inventory, with this button here. But really what you guys are going to be doing mostly is this transfer option. And so you'll be transferring equipment from, in this case, the tool crib to yourself or to your job trailer. But we can also check the inventory of a given location so you can see what you have in your job trailer. You could identify an item. If this random item shows up, you could scan it and be like, hey, where's this? Oh, this is supposed to be Brendan's. He left it in my job trailer. He left it in my truck, whatever it was. Or you could view an item, and so think of this as like searching for something. Like, man, I really need this pipe steamer. Where is it? Oh, it's in the tool crib. So that's where we're going to leave it for today. Next week, I want to go through the process of actually completing a transfer. So in the meantime, if anyone wants to get this on their phone, on their tablet, on any of their devices, let me or Elliot know. And if anyone has more questions, you can reach out to me or Elliot as well, because Elliot is fully, versed in the software. He's on board. He really likes it. Is Elliot up here anywhere?
He's
No.
watching from downstairs.
Okay, so if you have any questions, just reach out to us. Does anyone have any questions now, or does Ben or Ken have anything they want to add?
Well, the idea is just make it easier for everybody to keep track of things. There's a lot of stuff that goes in and out of this shop and the tool crib, unbelievable amounts of things. So, and then, like, if this ends up on a job somewhere and you forget to bring it back, well, the tool crib can figure out where it is. Assuming is there a tracker? There's no tracker on it, but something like this. If something like this isn't like major, you could very easily put it aside and be dealing with other things, and then someone says, well, where is it? And if it wasn't properly logged out, or even if it was, it's a lot easier for someone to check on the app to say, where is that? I need it right away. I need it now. And then they'll verify where it is, as long as the tracking has happened, because the tracking happens when we take our phone with our app and walk by the thing.
Or it's signed out properly, transferred from.
Yeah, it's all transferred through the login and out. Okay, announcements. Safety focus.
Yeah, we changed it.
Okay.
And it just didn't quite happen.
All right.
That was Wednesdays, and I changed it on Thursday.
Yeah, okay. All right. So, safety meeting still at 6:45. Of course, let's see. We got one more of safety meeting before the transition to daylight savings time, because that happened, was the 10th, I think, is daylight savings time. Then it's dark there for a week or so, so we'll probably start at 6:30 right after that sometime. We'll keep you informed. PT 360 Wellness is in this room, the Wellness Room on the 5th. That's this coming Tuesday, 3 to 4. Contact, the Health and Safety Department. Really, it is like a screening thing. It's like a little advice on what type of exercises, if you have some injuries or soreness or whatever. If you have questions like that, it's an easy opportunity to get free advice on it from professionals. And then, of course, a lot of you were here yesterday. We celebrated Mark Nash's retirement, 38 years with ECI, and we certainly thank him very much for the service, and we hope he enjoys his retirement. We had a party up front downstairs, worked out great. We appreciate Gunnar and Mike's, allowing everybody us to occupy their space.
Dirty up there, new floor.
Yeah, dirty up the floor.
In Alberta.
Alberta did a great job putting it all together with us, so, and a lot of other people too. But you see it worked out pretty good with quite a decent area. There's Mark with his cake.
And a smile.
And a smile. Oh, yeah, that's kind of a smile. Yeah. And Mark was here talking with a couple old timers. We have Joe, a retired boy. He retired probably
2000.
2000. That's a long time ago. And Michael, he retired probably about 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Or something.
Yeah, 6 years.
Yeah, that's Joe's wife over there.
That's what he said yesterday.
Yep. It's hard to imagine that next time we have an event that, Mark will be here as a retired person.
Yeah.
So Wellness Corner, we talked about when the PT 360 therapists were here last week about doing yoga because they have beginner yoga class every Tuesday night. And, we kind of put out a challenge there to go to the ECI people. And we've talked to PT 360 more about having just a one-time dedicated beginner class for yoga for ECI people. So it's only for us people. It's over at PT 360 on Industrial Lab next Thursday at 5:15. It's going to be exclusively for us, and we shouldn't be intimidated by the big yoga guru people. And if it's really, takes on a life of its own, we'll see about, continuing something. But a mat will be provided, and you should bring loose, comfortable, I guess, exercise clothes. I don't know what to expect. I've never done yoga.
You have
stretching.
You have to go to Dick's and buy yoga pants.
Yoga pants? Okay.
It's like stretching with a push-up.
It's stretching, it's breathing, all that, I guess. And I personally am challenging all of you guys. I said I'd be there. Matt stepped up. We got a couple others out here.
And I'm bringing Mr. Sullivan. He hasn't committed yet.
And the thing is that this is something normally we wouldn't try, right? And it's worth trying. It's all about relaxation, getting yourself tuned in at a different level, and it's a one-time try. If it doesn't really do it for people, then fine. But you never know. It's considered a very healthy thing, as many of you know. So you can sign up with Joey Alberta. It's set at 5:15 on Thursday, so it's kind of right after work. It'll probably be an hour or less, probably. I think that they'll gauge it on our ability to do their stuff. So I hope to see a lot of you there. So for the project of the week, we are looking at the Global Foundries tank liner, and we're hired by PC to install a new polyurea liner around the tank farm located at Global Foundries. The largest tank is 450,000 gallons. I didn't realize that. That's pretty big. And they go through a lot of oil, I guess. It's for the boilers for heating on the complex. And it's a secondary containment system in case of a major spill. So we took out the old bentonite liner, and then we demoed some old piping, concrete piers, concrete walls, and other structures. And then we started installing new piping, catch basins, gate valves, large retaining walls around tank 3 and 4. We regraded berms and slopes to new grades and installed structural fill across the entire containment and compacted and put the new liner in after. Then we had the sandblast around tank foundations and metal, and once the structural fill is in, sandblasting is done to put a filter fabric down, and then the polyurea is sprayed on top of that fabric, creating a new liner. And then we install the security fencing and some motion detectors and guardrails to protect those tanks. Get some pictures here. Pretty tight quarters against some of the building. I see that whoever that was afraid that their hard hat would get stuck in the narrow opening, so they took it off.
Sadly, there's nothing to be afraid because it wedges a hard hat in you.
Yeah, it's just, yeah. And of course, there's a lot of mini work, nothing very big for equipment. Another example of working in those tight quarters there.
Yeah, the liner has to get all the way across.
Right across the back, huh? And a good project for the little track truck. Go straight in, rotate around, straight out.
The frac tank, Kenny, that they have to pump all the water into.
Yeah, all the
Water can be pumped anywhere but into that frac tank, and then it gets taken away by Clean Harbors.
right. So there's petroleum contamination in some of this material. So any water that gets in there, gets mixed, or groundwater is taken and treated and processed. So. And there's another picture of the tank. So I'm sure anyone who's been through the facility would recognize those tanks. And then from the photo archives here, of course we all recognize Mark from the back. I think this is Chester, 2011, September, after Irene came through. I think he's just like, what did they get us into this time? That's the bridge, and it's hard to tell, but there's an abutment on here so that the whole bridge rotated. Of course, the bridge is very rigid, and one of the ends got undermined on the abutment, so the abutment was gone, and it just rotated and pivoted on a couple points. The only thing really holding it from not flipping was the fact that the track, the jointed rail, created like a strap, a belt that kept it. Yeah, I think Mark was wondering what we got him into that time.
Oh, yeah. How did you fix it?
Well, that's a whole story we can get into sometime. Well, maybe that'd be a good one to revisit. But there were big, heavy cranes that we hired, and then we rebuilt the abutments and
Like that.
Yeah, there was let's see, Crane Master. We had them come, and they had I think they were 100-ton telescopic crawlers, and then one of the 750s, we had our 750 there and the 450, but not for the lifting, but one of the 750s that I think the one we ended up buying was there. I can't recall if that's the same exact one, but there was a lot of lifting from four corners with big heavy cranes. What's that? Yep. And these cranes from Crane Master are special setup with a big heavy winch right between the tracks and the car body, and so they would hook onto something like this as well as lift like this. So it would, if anything's moving, it's going to slide the crane as well. So they're pretty beefy cranes. We'll get some pictures out in the coming weeks then to kind of show it. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Have a safe day. Keep our street going. Toby Morrow.
10 hour.